right? So this is the notes video for sector area. So sector area is very similar to the arc length, except you're solving for area instead of a length around the circumference. So if we look at our circle here, right, if we all this area inside the circle is the area of the circle, right? So if we wanted to find this shaded region here, let's just like we did for arc length, let's assume this is 110, and let's say our radius is 3 inches. Right, we don't want all the area of the whole circle. We only want area of part of the circle. And so again, we're going to do the arc measure, right? So 110 is our arc measure, or our central angle, divided by 360 because we're dealing with 110 out of 360 for the whole circle, and then times the area pi r squared. So again, for sector area, which I'm going to abbreviate SA, okay, we want the part of the circle, right, the part of the circle we're dealing with, times the area of the circle, right? So we know the area of the circle is pi r squared, right? And to find the portion of the circle we're looking for, right, it's the central angle or the arc measure divided by 360. Okay, and that's going to give us our sector area, right? So area of the whole thing would be pi r squared, but we don't want the area of the whole thing. We only want an area of part of it. So the part we want is 110 out of 360. Okay. We said our radius would be 3. So then we put that in the calculator. 110 divided by 360 times 9 pi. Closed out the calculator on accident. So let's bring it up. For some reason you have to type in Google calculator now into Google instead of just calculator. So 110 divided by 360. Right? And then we want to times pi times our radius was 3 squared. Right? And that gives us a sector area of 8.64. So that's going to be 8.64 inches squared. It's area, so it's going to be inches squared. Right? If we found the area of the whole thing, that's pi r squared. So we would do pi times 3 squared, which would be 28.27. Right? So we don't want all of that area, which was 28.27 inches squared. We only want the small piece of it, the 110 out of 360 of it. So that's where we get our 8.64. Right? So let's do some examples. Right? Let's zoom in a little. Okay, so calculate the sector area below. That's the area of the shaded region. They're indicating the area, the sector that we want area for is the shaded one. So our formula here is x over 360, right, representing the portion of the circle, times the area of the whole circle, which is pi r squared. Right, so sector area for this one, right, is going to be 120. It is our arc measure. So 120 over 360 times pi, and our radius is 16. So 16 squared, pi is times 16 squared. Then we can put that all on the calculator. So 120 divided by 360 is 1/3. Right? Times pi. And then our radius was 16 squared. Okay. So it's going to give us 268.1. right? So again, this was 1/3, right? 120 divided by 360 was 1/3. Right, and then your area is 16 times pi, right? So that's going to be right, 256 pi, right? And then when you have that, multiply that all out, it should give us the 268.1, right? And that is meters squared. Right, we're dealing with area, so it's meters squared. Right, so 256 pi, right, was our area, right? So 256, right, that was the area of the whole thing, but we didn't want the area of the whole thing. We only wanted 1/3 of it. So we multiplied by 1/3 or divided by 3, 268.1 meters squared. All right. Here's another one, same thing. We're still using the same formula. We have a circle of radius 12. Find the area of the sector whose central angle is 120. So again, sector area, formula is x over 360 times the area, which is pi r squared. Okay, so that's going to be, they tell us our central angle is 120. So that means the measure of our arc is also 120. So 120 over 360 times pi r squared. They're telling us the radius is 12. Okay, so we're looking at 120 out of 360. That's 1/3. Right, we don't want the area of the whole circle. We want area of 1/3 of it. And then 12 squared is 144. So this is going to be 144 pi. Right, so the area of the whole circle is 144 pi, but we only want 1/3 of it. So we'll do 1/3 times 144 pi, or 144 pi divided by 3, which is going to be 150.8 inches squared. Right, 150.8 inches squared. Okay. And then we can do the same thing we did before, where they give us the area, the sector area. Well, actually, this one they're asking us to still find the sector area. So we have the area of a circle is 225 pi inches squared. Find the area of a sector whose central angle is 45. So if we look at our formula, sector area, right, equals x over 360 times pi r squared. Right, we know area equals pi r squared. Right, so we know that 225 pi is going to equal pi r squared. Right, so when we're doing our formula, we have sector area. We know the central angle is 45 degrees. So it's 45 out of 360, which is 1/12. Okay, and then pi r squared we know is the area. So our area is 225 pi. So we're going to put in 225 pi. Right, that's our area. So instead of giving us the radius, they gave us the whole area. So we're going to substitute this in for pi r squared. Right, that's the whole area. Right, and then we can put that in our calculator and find our sector area, right? So the area of the whole circle is 225 pi, but we only want 1/12 of it, right? 45 divided by 360 is 1/12. Right, 1/12, and then we want to times by 225 pi. That's going to give us 88.4 inches squared. 88.4 inches squared. Right. Right. And then the last one, find the measure of the central angle if we have the sector area and the radius. So here we're just using the formula in a little different way. So sector area, again, x over 360. Right, the portion of the circle times the area. Area is pi r squared. So we're going to put in 15.7 pi equals our central angle divided by 360 times pi r squared, so pi times 6 squared. And then from there, you simply need to find the x, the value of x, which is the measure of the central angle. Right. So you can just find everything on each side first. So 15.7 times pi. Okay, which is going to be 49.3. So on the left side, we have 49.3. On the right side here, we have 6 squared times pi, and then we have to divide by 360. So that's going to be 36 times pi. And if we divide by 360 here, we're going to get 0.31 times x, right? So 0.31 times our central angle. So if we divide by 0.31 on both sides, so 49.3 divided by 0.31, right, we're going to get 159.0 degrees. Okay, and that's the measure of your central angle. All right, so that's the notes. There are also going to be videos available for the walkthroughs for the worksheets if you need further help there.